Innis Gunn Caribbean Rum Cask.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. One here today from Bonnie, Scotland, or the People's Republic of Jockistan, as they will be called if they ever get independence. This is from Innis Gunn, from Edinburgh, or more accurately, it should be Perth. That's where their brewery is based, apparently. And this is their Caribbean Rum Cask. Now, I've tried their original, which was a Scotch whisky infused beer. I'm not a fan of Scotch whisky. I don't really like it. But that original was quite nice, quite flavoursome as well. And this is based on the same principle. This has been matured in a rum cask. Now, how does that work? Well, the original idea for this was a bit of an accident. So what would happen was there was a whisky distiller called Grant's. If you've ever heard of Grant's of St James's, they're a Scotch whisky distiller. They came to Innis Gunn asking for them to brew a beer which would prime their barrels. So what would happen was they would get their whisky barrels and they would be primed with this lager or beer that the Innis Gunn brewery had produced. And the type of beer, Innis Gunn thought about this because they'd asked a lot of companies before and it just wasn't working for them, because how it would work is you would get these barrels, they would have had whisky in them, they'd reuse them, but you need to put a beer in them apparently to prime them, and they'd asked other brewers to do it and it wasn't working out for them, so they asked Innis Gunn, and Innis Gunn had a bit of a think about this and thought, well, they need to brew a very red, strong, sweet type beer for this to be able to complement the whisky that's going to go into the barrels, because it's the reverse process of what this is. So for example, you would get a whisky cask, you would prime it with the lager, and that would impart itself into the wood, and then you'd throw the beer away and then you'd put your whisky in. Now, here's the key. They were supposed to throw the beer away, but what was happening is people that were working at this distillery were tasting this beer and they were saying that it tastes absolutely amazing. And they started drinking it. And eventually the people at Grant's, they got in touch with Innis Gunn and said, look, this beer that you're producing, we're throwing it away, but it tastes absolutely amazing. You need to try it. So they did, and that's how it works. So then they've tried it on other beers, on other whiskies as well. They import a load of barrels. They break up these barrels, and it must cost a fortune, but they import these barrels from the USA, from bourbon distillers. They won't say which ones. I don't know whether it's Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or whoever, but they import them for their bourbon aged beers. They obviously have the whiskey aged beers, and this is their Caribbean Rum Cask beer. Now, according to them, they throw away quite a lot of beer that doesn't match up to their high standards. It is a bit of a hit and miss process. Sometimes it just doesn't work. The beer isn't up to scratch for whatever reason. You may get some spontaneous fermentation. I would imagine that's probably what spoils it. They have to throw it away. But some of it, or the majority of it, ends up in these bottles, And they insist that they only use 4 ingredients, so all the flavours that you do get in there come from the original spirit that has been put in the cask, plus the barley, the water, the hops and the yeast. I'll get onto the hops and the yeast and the barley in the next section. But that's what they're saying. It's quite interesting, really. They originally had a brewery that burnt down, and they are currently funding a new brewery which is going to be built in Edinburgh. They've been doing that for a while now. They had a contract with, I think, the old Tennant's Brewery in Glasgow to brew their beer. That expired in September 2020. It's now 2021. So I think they're doing their stuff in Perth, but they have had a crowdfunding, a bond scheme type thing, not the fucking equity for punks. And I don't know what the fuck he's barking at. But they now currently are in a state of flux. They're waiting to move into their brewery in Edinburgh. So, with that in mind, let's get this investigated. Right, this is a 330ml bottle. I got this from Morrison's and it was reasonably cheap. This is a 6.8% beer, I think it is. So yeah, there's some quite high ABV in here. I'll just give you the spiel on the back here. This beer is to be savoured. It is Caribbean rum cask mature for spiciness and richness of flavour, aromas of rum, demerara, dried fruits and spice. Warming malt character with hints of vanilla and oak. The bitterness is understated, leaving plenty of room for a long, spicy, sweet finish. It is great on its own. Blah blah blah. The foods, cheese and chutney, cured meats and fruity puddings. Best served ice cold in an Innis Gunn glass. This is ice cold. Well, it's cold anyway. This beer is matured in rum casks that unlock natural hints of vanilla, fruit and spice, etc., etc. As I say, it's 6.8%. The hops are English Goldings. They don't say which particular variety of English Goldings, but they use Goldings in there. They use chocolate malt. They use their own ale malt, the Innis Gunn ale malt, which is apparently grown within 100 miles of the brewery. So I don't know where that is, to be honest. There's no indication from them where that is. The hops obviously come from England because apparently, I don't know how true this is, but you can't grow, or they don't grow hops in Scotland. Unusual, but true, apparently. And they've got chocolate malt in here as well. So, without further ado, let's get it open and let's see how good this is. Right. Just pop the cap off of here. I have reviewed the whiskey. I reviewed their lager as well. Wasn't impressed with the lager at all. That was bang average. Not impressed. There's the cap. The matured stuff was not bad. The cask matured stuff, they do an IPA and some other ones as well. They are absolute fucking dog shit. Do not bother. I thought they were bloody fucking horrible. Trying to think of the right adjective. There it is in the glass. I put it into a Watney Scotch Ale glass. God, you can smell it from here. Oh God, that smells so rich and sweet. Fruity, sweet. It really does smell like rum. Not a fan of rum either, I'm afraid. In fact, I'm really just a beer man. Yeah, wow. You really can smell that sugar that they're talking about, the demerara sugar. But it's very fruity, dark fruit, little touch of spice, as you would expect from rum. But it does smell, on the aroma, like a very good old ale with lots of dark fruit. And that, what on an old ale would be invert sugar. There's a little hint of spice on there as well, and a little hint of ethanol too. So this could be interesting. Let's see how it goes. bottoms up. That's quite interesting, actually. Oh, there is that vanilla. I'm getting that vanilla now that they're talking about. It's almost like a barley wine, but without the ethanol. There's no real ethanol in there. There's a lot of sweetness on that, and I'm wondering. They're saying they're only using 4 ingredients, but I don't know. It does taste like there's some sort of invert sugar in there. I could be wrong, but that's what it tastes like to me. If maturing it in a barrel gives it that kind of sweetness, then that really is a new one on me. It's got quite rich fruitcake style flavours on this, and again, I'm going to re-emphasise that sugar type sweetness that it's got. Very big fruit on there. Not so much spice. Not really getting the spice on there. And that's about it. It does taste like a reasonably good barley wine, I have to say. The rum infusion, not really getting that. Now you've got to remember, this is based on a red. They call it a red beer. I'm assuming that it's the exact term they've used is Scottish red beer. I'm assuming they mean a Scotch red ale, not a Scotch ale, a Scottish red ale. And it's, well, if they're to be believed, which I have no reason to doubt that they're lying, if this is matured in a rum cask, it's taken on the personality of a reasonably good barley wine. For me, if I was to criticise it, I would say the finish is just a little bit too quick for me. But that's a relatively minor gripe. All in all, it has got some nice flavours on it. Now, it's probably not going to be for everybody. Some may find it a little bit too sweet for their palate. But if you're a fan of old ale or barley wine, I think you're going to like this. Or even like a strong ale, an English strong ale. Then yeah, this is pretty good. It's in the same vein as the Shepherd Neame 1698, that type of beer. The Fuller's 1845. That's all. There's no ethanol on this though, so I don't know whether that's a plus or a minus. Funnily enough, I do like to taste a little bit of ethanol. It does give it a bit of character, I think, with it. Now, you can go overboard in it. Some of the Belgian stuff, when you drink it, your first mouthful, you just have to write that off because the ethanol just dominates everything. But with this, it's not there at all. Now, they're saying drink it ice cold. I don't know why they've said that. Maybe they're muting a lot of the flavours, but that's what I've done. I should possibly get one of these and try it at room temperature. See if I can get, if it puts a different slant on it, because you don't normally drink, these type of dark beers, unless it's a German Doppelbock. You don't normally drink these cold I would drink them at cellar temperature, which is a little bit warmer than this. But it isn't bad, I have to say. There is not a lot wrong with that at all. I can't remember. It's a long time ago since I tried the whiskey aged stuff, but I don't remember it that as tasting as good as this. This is a real nice one. I am liking this. And as I say, the Innis Gunn cask aged stuff is pretty good. Avoid their lager, avoid their IPAs. They're just, they do it. Was it a gunpowder IPA? Yeah, that's crap. I didn't enjoy that at all. But I'm enjoying this. This is quite nice. Yeah, just again, I'm just going to say it lacks a bit of depth. That's the only thing. There's no real big malty finish on the arse end of it. That's a little bit disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. It's quite nice, quite drinkable. So, what is the verdict on the Innis Gunn Caribbean Rum Cask Scottish Red Beer, as they have called it? Not too bad. Quite nice. I wasn't sure about this because I've tried the whiskey aged stuff. That wasn't bad either. But I've tried a lot of the other Innis Gunn stuff, and it isn't great, to be honest. As I say, the lager's bang average. The IPAs are shit, in my opinion. But this stuff that they do, it's good. It's a shame they just don't specialise in this, because I suppose they have to branch out, and they do have a couple of tap rooms. Is it 2 or 3? I think they've got 3 tap rooms. One in Edinburgh, one in Leith, and one in Glasgow, I think it is. And they obviously sell their lager there, etc. So yeah, I suppose they have to do that. But this is pretty good. I mean, 6.8%. There's no real trace of ethanol on that. Could be because it says drink ice cold, but I'm not sure whether that's a good idea. But maybe I should revisit it and drink it at normal room temperature. But I like it. It's not bad at all. As I say, if you like your old ale, if you like your barley wine, if you like that strong English ale, you're going to like this. The rum character, to be honest, I'm not really getting the rum character because I'm not a massive fan of rum. To me, it's taking on the other qualities that you would expect in a good barley wine or an old ale. Yeah, perfectly acceptable. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. And am I going to recommend it? Yeah, but you might find it a little bit sickly after a few bottles of this, because it is quite sweet. They're saying there's no invert sugar in that or any type of sugar, but I'm convinced there is. But try it for yourself, see what you think. And remember, beer is working class champagne.